get started. Eliott, Yubo, if you guys want to jump in and introduce yourselves quickly, I think that's the best place to start.
Sure. Yubo, do you want to do the honor?
Yeah, sure. My name is Yubo, founder of Parallel Finance. Previously, I am the founder of eDecimal Capital. It's a blockchain and crypto-focused fund, managed around $60 million, invested into a lot of layer 1 protocols. And then, I also spent some time as a Solidity engineer at Trustless in 2020. And then previously, I run a company called Eliott, which we designed a hardware education tools for children to learn financial habits that connects to mobile payments in China. It was acquired. And so that's kind of my quick backgrounds. And Eliott, if you want to continue.
Sure. So my name is Eliott. I'm Nodle's Chief Blockchain Officer. I also happen to be an advisor to Parallel. Prior to that, I was CTO of a company called BitNation. We are doing decentralized governance before decentralized governance was cool. Got awarded NetExpo Grand Prix in the same year for our work from UNESCO. And apart from that, I also happen to be running governance nonprofits to research better governance models and do a few other things on the side.
Amazing. Thank you both for introducing yourselves. Just for anyone joining, just to clarify the format, so we have a list of pre-collected questions from our respective communities, and we will also take live questions from you as they arise. So if you do have a question, go ahead and just raise your hand to speak, and we will bring you up and let you ask Yubo or Eliott your question. Eliott, out the gate, why does Nodle exist? Can you tell us about the vision and mission and how Nodle is unique?
That's a good one. So the point of Nodle is that we are building the world's largest IoT decentralized network. And we are currently present in most countries in the world and have the ability to leverage smartphones that everyone has to connect to nearby IoT devices and relay their data to where it needs to be sent. And we're able to do that extremely fast, extremely well, and in a fully trustless and decentralized manner. And for IoT manufacturers and IoT users, they are able to get that kind of service in the most efficient and cost-efficient manner. On top of that, we have quite a few use cases that are a bit more IoT-focused and just connectivity-focused, and we think that we are the best way to interact with IoT devices from a blockchain world, and we aim to be Polkadot's IoT patching.
Very interesting. That's awesome. Yubo, why don't you tell us what Parallel is and why you decided to create it?
So Parallel is a collection of protocols on different chains, and then the current product that we're building on is a one-stop DeFi ecosystem on the Polkadot space, and then we provide services to DOT holders and Kusama holders to help them with their trading demand, crowdloan demand, borrowing and lending demand, and staking demand. And then so it's a one-stop application, so you can just use the platform and earn yield and do anything you want. Why we exist? We want to bring the Web3 revolution to reality to impact 1 billion people. We started with DeFi applications, which we believe can dramatically improve the efficiency of the whole financial system. And what we want is that 1 billion people can truly have the financial inclusion, diversity, and also ownership of the asset that they have, and eventually provide this real efficiency to all of the users. That's kind of the long-term mission that we have.
Awesome. Thank you, Yubo. Okay, so we have somebody requesting. Let's see if they've got a question. Sajad, I'm bringing you on. Sorry if I butchered your name. Hang tight for just a second. All right, take it away, man.
So hi, this is Sajad. I guess I have a very basic question for the Nodle team. So when I open my Nodle Cache app and it starts connecting to devices around my house or around the houses that I live around, I was just wondering what data is it sending and where is it sending that data?
Okay, that's a good one. So in most cases, everywhere where you are, you have actual IoT devices around you, right? And most of those devices actually use a protocol compatible with Nodle called Bluetooth Low Energy. And then broadcast the data for anyone to pick it up and do something with it. But what we do is that we are able to collect the data and then send it to manufacturers that want to operate various devices. In the meantime, the app is able to do that in a fully privacy-first way. So we actually do not tie the data to personal identifiers or anything. And the network is simply in charge of routing the data from A to B.
So for example, if I have a smart lock on my door, it's an IoT device. The app is connecting to that, but how does the app get the access to it? Like in terms of, isn't that locked in terms of access to pick up data and send wherever it needs to send?
Depends on the IoT device. Most of them actually expose those services publicly and advertise various statistics as part of that protocol.
Can I elaborate on that a little bit? So
Go for it.
So Bluetooth there's a few layers of Bluetooth data that are available. In order to be discoverable, Bluetooth devices broadcast little bits about themselves. They say, "Hey, I'm here on this type of device," and that's how you can easily discover something when you turn it on. But in terms of actually accessing the device and being able to pair with that device, that's a whole other layer, and we obviously can't do that. We can't open your lock. We can't get information about your lock beyond its existence. We're not pairing with it. And the vision is that, say, August, the maker of the lock, wants some kind of analytic data about its devices, or wants to provide a way for you to connect remotely to your lock when you're away from home. In that situation, they would provide us with some layer of access and some ability to pair with it. But in the way that we're built, we Nodle wouldn't actually be able to read that data. It's all encrypted. And so you could have a conversation with your device, or August could have a conversation with the device. We're just facilitating the communication, the transport of bits, without being able to look at any of that information. We're very, very concerned about privacy, and we don't collect any of that personal information. We don't tie the information to a geographic location, typically. And so we're very, very careful with people's data. Privacy.
And are you sending that data back to the original manufacturer or whoever is paying for that data, I guess, the collection of that data? So could that be like a marketing company, or could that be somebody who is saying to Nodle, saying, send me all the data that you have on smart locks from around the world?
So typically it would be the device maker. And we're going on the assumption that they have permissions from you. There's a whole chain around that, how they communicate with those devices. So that would be the device maker. If we were ever to provide any other information, it would be on a purely aggregated basis, right? And so we could say there are, 8,000 August locks in this city, but we would never say, there's one at 23 Main Street, to allow personal identification in any way.
Understood. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your question. Going back to the questions that we've pre-collected, and reminder, anyone who has questions, feel free to raise them. We're happy to take them from you. Eliott, do you mind sharing a little bit about your background and what personally motivates you to drive the future of connectivity?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, I got into crypto in 2017, and originally I was seduced by the possibility of crypto and blockchain in terms of decentralized governance. And I really wanted to find better ways to just take decisions, right? And ultimately, that vision became what decentralized autonomous organizations are today, right? So now most people are able to create on-chain organization and take decisions from that. And we're only seeing the beginning of these kind of use cases. However, most of these organizations currently only live on-chain, right? It's a bit tough to make them interact for real with our world, with the real world, with the non-digital world. And I see in Nodle a possibility to build a protocol and build a chain and a platform that would allow such organizations to interact from the chain where they live with real-world IoT devices. And I really see that as a very powerful use case, and that is a problem that I'm excited to solve.
I like that you used the word seduced. I would describe my experience with blockchain as a very similar one.
Great.
Yubo, gonna throw one your way.
Yeah.
Why blockchain? Why are you in blockchain? Why is Parallel on blockchain? What drew you to blockchain? Were you seduced? Was it something else?
Honestly, really because I think the whole Web2, brings a lot of value to the users. However, is pretty much dominated by a couple of big players, and they take advantage of users. They take advantage of users' privacy, data, monetize on pretty much every attention that we have to the platform, and we don't get any fair share. So I just feel like we should build some technology that really help users to first, get a fair share of how much they contribute to a success of a platform, to the success of a network. Second, own the actual intellectual property asset that it creates on a platform. Number three, have the ability to participate in governance, participate in the decision of the future of how a specific company product actually work. I think that actually really matters to everyone in the world. And we just want to use blockchain as the best technology to bring that to mainstream. And that, I think, really matters to everyone. And that actually matters to me as well.
That's awesome. I love it. It looks like we actually have two questions. Action.CEO, I'm going to bring you up. And Bluntman, I'm going to bring you up, but keep you on deck. So please let Action.CEO speak first.
All right, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, kind of crazy
Action,
question.
you can go.
I know that Garrett has said that there's a lot of Bluetooth out there, Bluetooth devices, both phones as well as IoT devices. So you guys started out with Bluetooth. So is there a plan? Have you guys discussed the next wireless technology standard that you might be looking into?
Yeah, actually, our protocol is in many ways transport agnostic, right? And transport meaning Bluetooth in the context of your question. And ultimately, it could be extended to other transport, such as LoRa, such as 5G, Wi-Fi, and many other protocols. And we're actually looking in that direction. So to answer your question, yes, for sure.
I'll just say that I'm really glad I watched your guys' video carefully to hear those little nuances.
Amazing.
Awesome. Thank you. Bluntman, go ahead. Take it away with another question.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Look, I'll be honest, completely new to Nodle. Been a massive fan of Parallel Finance for quite a while now, and I'm loving the partnerships and collaborations and being introduced to new companies and protocols along the way through other projects that I love. So very, very cool. And it sounds like you guys are doing doing plenty right, and I've got a really good, really good business plan. But I guess my main question would be, as a complete noob for a clean slate, what would be your unique business proposition? Because Internet of Things is a sector that's going to continue to blow up, as we know. So what are you guys doing differently to your competitors, for example? And what is your unique business proposition?
Unique proposition compared with which company? Or if you have a target to compare with?
Sorry, mate, what was that? I missed that.
Yeah, so you mean the competitive, or you mean the unique advantage, right? I'm just trying to understand, are you trying, what will be the company that you're trying to compare with? Is that a DeFi companies, or just in general, what is the...
So Nodle, more specifically to Nodle, what is their unique proposition? I understand parallel finance quite well, but yeah, more so for Nodle.
Can I take that one?
Go for it. I see you are unmuted.
So there's really two ways that we are different from all the other IoT things out there. First off, we're entirely built with software. Our network runs on a highly decentralized network of nodes. Your smartphone, Wi-Fi access points, smart TVs people have installed the SDK on, where Raspberry Pi is coming. Whatever hardware you have, you can install the Nodle client on that and become part of the network and mine coins through that. This is different from the way we've always built networks, which is to spend billions of dollars in CapEx and put up towers and base stations and antennas and all that stuff. And so we can scale the network very, very quickly because we're entirely done in software. And so some of you may be familiar with Helium, which is working on a similar complementary path, building a mesh Wi-Fi network. We think ultimately we can grow, and we probably are larger than Helium is today, because Helium is highly dependent on their hotspot, their boxes, which are expensive and very hard to get right now. And so, I don't see us necessarily as competitors with them. I think that we're more complementary, and they could ride on our rails. You could have Helium boxes that mine both Helium and Nodle. But it's a very different model in that we built it entirely in hardware and software. And the second thing that's really important is the extent to which we're decentralized. Our security model is built on the blockchain. It wouldn't scale without the blockchain. And I think that's very important compared to traditional telco solutions, which are incredibly centralized, incredibly institutionalized. And we can differentiate against the Verizons and the AT&Ts of the world because of this mix we have of being built entirely in software and being so decentralized.
Awesome answer. Thanks, man. You've just gained another fan. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks to you.
Thanks, Flyman. As always, a pleasure to have you come up and ask questions. All right, we get another one from Polkadot. Let's jump into it. Great question so far, everyone. Feel free to keep requesting. All right, Polkadot, you should be able to speak. Take it away.
Hello. Quick question. I always thought it was interesting. So with the way, as soon as I downloaded and used Nodle's app, the first thing that came to mind was the experience that, with another game called Ingress. And so gamifying has always been an effective way to get users to do, or people to do certain things in order to be rewarded. So in Ingress, it's imagine Google Maps, and as you walk, you can gain energy and items. And so I was wondering, long story short, if Nodle has any plans to partner or work with other some games companies like this to help encourage usage or anything in that area.
Actually, yes. So we have a partnership with a company called ESTV that is doing exactly this kind of things. On top of that, I don't want to advance myself too much because we are still defining the next use cases we are going to diversify into. But we are looking at the opportunity to become a platform for such applications, right? We have a protocol and we have IP that allows us to prove that you are at a given location, for instance, prove cryptographically. So we could use that to build mixed reality, augmented reality, I don't remember exactly the correct term, that, if you think of ingress, you could then use a proof that you're at a certain point to maybe claim a reward or to get specific, interactions.
Very good.
And not for nothing, it's by some coincidence, our office in San Francisco is literally next door to Niantic's office. And Niantic is the developer of Ingress and Pokemon Go, and we haven't had. I don't want to mislead you. We haven't had really advanced. We haven't had conversations with them, but it's every time I go to work, I think, we got to go talk to them.
There's probably people noddling over there, and then in Nodle, there's a bunch of people playing Ingress. You guys need to talk and make it happen.
Exactly, yeah. I've been playing Ingress for a long time, so big fan.
Yeah, it's good too. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, we keep having good questions, so I'm just going to keep this conversation going. Action, I'll do you second since you already asked one question. Arthur, you're next up. As soon as your mic is available to be unmuted, take it away and ask your next question. Action, I'll bring you up on deck. You can ask a question after Arthur. Arthur. All right, Arthur, take it away.
Yes, I'm kind of curious. I come from the transportation industry involved in positive train control. And I'm wondering how Noodle could be used, the data that is collected in transportation.
There's a few use cases, some of them that we have already deployed. The top one would be that in transportation, usually you would like to know where what you're transporting is, right, as a customer. As a customer of a transportation company, you want to know where your package is or where your shipment is. And Nodle is able to provide a decentralized, trustless, and more cost-efficient way to locate such packages. So that would be the first use case. We do have, it's probably less related to transportation, right? But if you look at how electric vehicles are becoming the norm, like I think Tesla already have an electric truck in that case. And we do have use cases around the support for electric base stations where you can authenticate with the base station and use some of the Nodle's magic to then charge your car and your vehicle. And maybe Jay, you have other use cases that you have in mind. But these are the two main ones that I am seeing currently.
Oh, yeah. I've got all the use cases. So I would say, yeah, Eliott's spot on. Logistics companies, we talked to a lot of logistics companies, a lot of interest in and around what we're doing. And I think the first, most obvious set of services we offer is around, we call it smart assets, which is a combination of location of assets and security for assets. Being able to do some fairly fine-grained tracking. And we've had deployments, we've had trials where we've done this sort of in a controlled space, like a warehouse or actually a rail yard. And we're also talking to a fairly large logistics provider about doing very, very fine-grained tracking in the sense that, you think of, there are a lot of objects today. Like we talk about IoT and we mostly think about electronics devices, sort of low-powered devices. But the technology is getting to the point where you can get a Bluetooth tag for 50 cents going to 25 cents. And at that point, it becomes essentially disposable, and you can put it on as a label on a shipping pallet or on a even an individual package, and being able to track things, and not just in and out of the warehouse like shipments are done today, but sort of where it is on the truck or where the truck is at this moment. And so we're definitely looking a lot at logistics and transportation, and I think ultimately, and Eliott touched on this, ultimately we're providing a platform, an API, if you will, and we have a few useful applications that we think people will want, but we also anticipate you, the customer, being able, or you, the developer, being able to build your own services on top of our API and then market those to your customers. And so we're open to all kinds of exploration of going beyond just the ideas that we have already.
Do you see the possibility, if I may ask another question, do you see the possibility of real-time tracking logistics, say, for instance, rail cars or a shipment?
I would say that a lot of that depends on the growth of our network. So we have a network, like Eliott said, it's already pretty much in every country. It's 150 something countries today, and we can do a certain level of service as it stands today. As our network grows, yeah, absolutely. I think we can do real time services. I think there's IoT is complicated. It's not just one thing, and there's always going to be situations where you're going to want to use a cell phone to have always on 7 nines reliability. But that comes at a cost, right? The device itself is going to cost $100, and plus service and all that. There are lots of other use cases where fault tolerance, and delay tolerance in the network is acceptable, and over time we think we can greatly reduce that delay. So we can't do real time today, but I think we can do lots of other things and get closer and closer to real time as our network grows.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur, for that question. Action CEO, if you have another question, take it away.
Yeah, actually, this is another question on top of the other questions, just because it's something Jay just brought up. I understand you say you can't do real time right now because of the network size, but that's if we're living in a world where the people signing on are expecting to use your network. If they were willing to take the network to another level, let's say those trains are willing to deploy, let's say, nodal miners as part of their software that's running on their screens that happen to have Bluetooth. At that point, you are able to implement something that's real time. And I see Eliott going on and off. Like, does that make sense? Like, if people are willing to take the extra effort,
yeah, it does.
It can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good way of putting it. Thank you for that.
I thought it was going to expand and maybe, but okay, that sounds like a yes. It's awesome. So I'll ask my original question that I was actually thinking about. I hear people coming on all the time asking me, what if Nodle partner with X company or Y company? And I think a lot of times people miss the fact that you guys have your SDK open, right? Like, if you are an app developer, you can add Nodle to your app, and all of a sudden, people are mining Nodle on the go. And that can happen today. I mean, that is starting to happen, and it's a matter of people kind of adding on to it. I mean, we saw this huge thing with, the HCC Exodus where they made it, native. But this can happen all around.
Yeah, exactly. You can go to nodle.co today and download our SDK and install it. And I'm not a developer, but people tell me it's pretty easy integration. I mean, it's a tiny little thing. It can be up and running, and we clock someone once in 5 minutes. So that's exactly what we want. We want people to be able to just come in and download and get going and put in their app and start earning rewards, earning mining.
I think that's a perfect explanation. We should reuse that somewhere.
I'll just put it on my video. Don't worry. I'll make sure to include it there.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for that one. Okay, so back to the list of questions we have prepared. Yubo, can you talk a little bit about Parallel Finance's non-custodial solution? Is Parallel Finance completely trustless?
Not at this moment, but we'll transition into a fully decentralized solutions after we launch the Parachain, and then I estimate that we're going to launch it on Kusama first, which is going to be probably in a week or two, and then we are also working on the Polkadot one. But then the only challenge is that Polkadot haven't really integrated the XCM capability yet, so we're waiting for that. As soon as it has it, then we are able to launch, and then so after that, everything will be autonomous. And we project can list it for the crowdloan, and also be able to, investor can contribute, and then our crowdloan palette will, hold the funds in a non-custodial way.
Cool. Okay. Eliott, do you want to explain how Nodle Cash App works?
to walk us through that? Bouncing around a little bit, but just jumping around the document.
I mean, it's actually very simple because like we optimized it to get out of the way of the end user. But yeah, to put it simply, as a user, you can simply download the Nodle Cache app. There's links on our websites. You install it on your phone. Then we request some permissions, notably the permission to access your Bluetooth services on your phone. Because like, hey, we are a Bluetooth network currently. And then the app is going to start running. It's going to run more or less in the background depending on your smartphone model and depending on your settings and depending on your battery optimization preference. And we are going to start connecting to nearby IoT devices. If there is no internet, we are going to keep it in cache on the phone so that you don't miss out on opportunities. And once there is internet, we will send that to the Nodle network for the data to be routed to its destination. And over regular intervals of time, a proof is computed and submitted to the Nodle chain so that we can allocate a Nodle cache mining reward that you then see on your wallet, and the loop is looped. And that's it. Like super simple, right?
That seems super straightforward.
Exactly. We have recently announced a new version of the Nodle Cache app to make it more just easier to use, nicer to use, just improve the UX towards like the UX is actually pretty good.
Okay. And what do Nodle tokens get you as a user while we're on the subject of Nodle Cache?
Sure.
Just tokens and all that.
Ultimately, Nodle Cache is a way to interact with the platform, right? So first of all, obviously you can pay for transaction fees with it. You can already deploy smart contracts on a solo chain. And over time, we expect to use it more and more to acquire services we will develop on top of the network, such as certifying an IoT device, such as locating your IoT devices, such as connecting them, sending upgrades to your IoT devices. And that's all use cases we're looking at developing as a DApp on top of the Nodle network, for which Nodle Cache will be extremely relevant.
Very cool. Okay. Yubo, while we're talking tokens, do you want to talk about CDOT and what a user can do with it? Like what is it?
Yeah, so CDOT is the Crowdloan derivative, right? So let's say that you do Crowdloan to Nodle, and then if you do through the traditional way, which is Polkadot, we really don't like this way because your money will be locked for 2 years, pretty much, for 96 weeks. And however, if you use parallel platform, we give you a derivative token called C.Nodle, and then it is 1-to-1. So if you contribute 100 DOT, you got 100 C.Nodle, 100 C.Nodle. And then so those tokens are able to be traded on our AMM, be able to borrow as a collateral, and so you can get liquidity way earlier, and then also you can earn yield on top of it. That's kind of the benefits of C.Dot itself. It's called Crowdloan DOT.
And if I can add, Yubo, as a participant via the parallel platform, when you get C.Dots, you actually retain some form of liquidity over your dots, right? It's very similar to what you could think of as a liquid dot. So that you retain some capital efficiency and reduce your opportunity cost when participating in the crowdloans.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you, Eliott, for adding on to that. I appreciate that. Let's see. So what are some practical use cases for Nodle, Eliott?
Well, I think we've
shared some
of
already,
them already, right?
Yeah.
The one where we currently excel at is relocating Bluetooth assets. Jay mentioned we worked with with a railway company, so we work with the French railway company to locate in their different building sites pieces of trains that will dismantle before putting them back together, right, to make a new train. So that's really where we excel at. We're also pretty good at just fetching statistics that the IoT device is sending us to then forward to the network. And in terms of upcoming use cases, then again, like some of them already mentioned, we're really looking at communicating with the device, not just reading and sending via the Nodle network to the manufacturer, but actually interacting with it, potentially sending data to it. So if you would operate a fleet of IoT devices, maybe you would like a way to upgrade your devices remotely. Technically, that's really the next step for us, right? Like be able to upgrade devices remotely, be able to deliver firmware upgrades, or even some form of smart contract-like script that will execute on the smartphone to execute a verifiable processor flow when interacting with the IoT device.
Interesting. That's really cool. And so I understand that Nodle is a Polkadot ecosystem project. If Nodle secures a parachain slot, what will be the benefit for the Polkadot ecosystem?
Sure. Well, the first one is that we will basically be the first IoT parachain of Polkadot, right? By joining the Polkadot Parachain Club, let's call it that way, we instantly bring our unique features to other parachains. Meaning, if you look at Centrifuge, for instance, Centrifuge is tokenizing real-world assets, right? There are possible integrations with Centrifuge if you tokenize IoT-enabled or so-called smart devices. On top of that, we see different use cases that mostly rely on the idea of tokenizing IoT devices. Once you tokenize ownership of one of your, let's say, cars or something, you could probably get a loan on a platform like Parallel's money market against that actual device that you tokenized.
Very cool. Well, that sounds very promising for the Polkadot ecosystem. Yubo, do you mind just discussing a little bit about auction loan as far as why should I contribute to a parachain auction crowd loan through auction loan? What's in it for me?
Yeah, so as I said, if you guys are interested in crowd loan to Nodle, the traditional way, you do not have liquidity within 2 years of your DOT. You will be locked up for entire 96 weeks. And then the biggest benefits of using parallel crowd loan is to have liquidity. And second of all, the second benefit is to get additional bonus. So Parallel provide 4 pair token per DOT contribution, meaning that if you contribute $1 million DOT, you get 4 million pair tokens. And number 3, I guess it's just simple to use. You can check your rewards in one place and contribute through a very simple app, and also check the token economics of all of the projects, right? So it's just better user experience. Those are the 3 main reasons for user. And number 4, I guess, DeFi integrations. With the CDAO capability, you can actually integrate with the money market, trading, and other apps that we build in the future.
And is there a referral bonus that users can leverage?
Right. Yeah. There's actually a 10% referral bonus. Thanks for mentioning that. There is a 10% referral bonus. So you can refer to friends, and then you guys will split the 10% referral bonus.
Amazing.
And by the way, that referral bonus is on top of Nodle's referral bonus. I think Nodle have a referral bonus, right, Eliott?
Yeah. We have a 10% referral bonus as well, meaning that it should be very nice to combine all of them.
Right. Stacking bonuses on bonuses. I love it. That's awesome. That's deep. Yeah. Let's talk about the user experience for the Nodle Crowdloan, once it opens. Can one of you walk me through what that would look like for a user? Where do they go? What do they do to take part?
I can do it, Yubo, unless you want to do it. I think we're going to say the same thing anyways.
So introducing the experience, or?
Yeah, what would it look like? I'm a user. I want to contribute to the Nodle Crowdloan once it's live.
Yeah.
Where do I go? What do I do?
Yeah, so go to parallel.fi, our website, or actually there are 2 ways. One, so I think Nodle will have a page, Crowdloan page, and then once it's ready, we should be able to have a button that integrated with Parallel, so you can just click from here and jump, or you go to crowdloan.parallel.fi, and then you select Nodle as the option, and then click on it, and then just do contribute. That's it. Pretty simple. Yeah. It's kind of like 2-step or 3-step max through the platform, and then yeah.
Cool. Amazing. And then they can use that referral link to invite their friends to do the same, right?
Yeah. That's correct.
Okay. So Yubo, let's talk a little bit about Parallel. Like, what's beyond crowd loans and parachain options for Parallel?
So beyond Polkadot, beyond our crowd loan, we are aiming to do a one-stop DeFi applications for DeFi kind of ecosystem for the Polkadot ecosystem. So user can do trading. They can trade the DOT against USDC, USDT. People can do trading between different project tokens. Can be Glimmer tokens, can be Star token, Nodle token, anything against like dollar or DOT. You can do money market. You can borrow, lend, or yield on top of it. You can do liquid staking. So basically, you can stake your DOT, earn the yield from proof of stake, security pool from Polkadot, but also remain liquid. And then, we're building some derivative protocols and some like leverage protocols. So those are for advanced users.
Awesome. I can't wait personally. It's going to be a big moment for us for sure. Eliott, can you tell us about the Nodle Crowdloan campaign? And I guess we kind of already talked about this. Let's see. Trying to find. Let me see. Let's just talk about the crowd loans in general right now. We're almost done with the 4th slot. What do you guys think? Like, as far as this is the first round, has it gone as expected from your views? Has there been a lot of twists and turns and surprises? Or, what do you think in general? Give us kind of the bird's eye view.
Well, I think everybody was kind of expecting what happened in terms of the average slot price, right? So Caroline would be obviously went for a lot of dots. But, once these 2 slots were won, we can clearly see that the average parachain slot price is falling to more reasonable number of dots, which I think is beneficial for the entire Polkadot ecosystem, because that makes it more accessible to secure parachain slot. Or at least, more accessible than the first 2 ones.
Yeah, I agree. So, Eliott, how important do you think it is to commit dots early in a crowd loan contribution compared to later stage?
Well, I think it's pretty important. First of all, in most cases, projects, and we do that, right? Like Nodle does offer a 10% early bird bonus. In most cases, if you contribute early, you can actually max out on a few more rewards. But for a project, it's actually very important that their contributors contribute early in their crowd loan, because the way parachain slot auctions are run is via a system called a candle auction. And during the candle auction, the first contributions provide the project with the highest probability to win the slot, right? Because the later you go, the least chances you have for your contribution to be selected, and then, to help the project win the slot. I don't know if people are familiar with how a candle auction works, but just simple explanation.
Feel free to cover it. Yeah.
Let's do that. The simplest explanation of a candle auction, because we don't have much time left. The simplest explanation would be that people bid over time, as with any other auction. However, a random ending time or block in our case is chosen. and every contribution after that block are actually not accounted for when selecting the winning project. So every contribution before that block are obviously accounted for. So the earlier you contribute, the most chances you have to be part of some of the blocks considered to select the winning project. So, all of that to say that the earlier you contribute, the most impact your contribution has.
Amazing.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was a great explanation. No, I think that was a good explanation.
Yeah. Cool.
Can one of you go into actually, we have 2 questions. Let's hit those really quick. Bluntman, I'm gonna skip you for a second and go on to Luke because it's his first question, but I'll put you on deck. So Luke, you can have the first go, and then Bluntman, when Luke's done, you can go ahead and take over. So Luke, as soon as your mic's enabled, take it away. All right, Luke, you should be able to unmute yourself and ask your question. And for anyone that's just joined us, if you have a question, feel free to request to come up, and we would love to hear from you. Go for it, Luke.
Hi, it's Luke. Quick question for Parallel. Just regarding when you contribute to crowd loans, for example, Nodle via Parallel's platform. I don't know if it's still the case, but when you contribute to a crowd loan via Parallel, I've done it previously, and it goes to a multi-sig account. And my understanding is that from that point on, then it's contributed directly to the crowd loan module itself. And so I'm wondering if, and I was reading that might be changing in future to a more trustless solution, because I guess for some people it might actually it might have tax implications. For example, if you wanted to contribute with say, for example, DOT tokens that you have staked, and if contributing and it goes via a multi-sig account, that might trigger a taxable event. Then that might actually be something that might not necessarily be an attractive approach compared to just contributing directly without getting any rewards. Whereas, so that's basically the question I was asking is if in future, is there going to be a possibility that you could use Parallel's platform to contribute to crowd loans or other things without actually having to go and I guess from an audit perspective, if your tax office says, hey, it's going through a multi-sig, that's a taxable event, it might not actually be an attractive way to do things.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So Nodle is going to do the batch 2, which started in December 23rd. And then we are targeting to launch our Heiko decentralized version sometimes like this week or next week. Everything is pretty much done. And then the Parallel decentralized crowd loan palettes, so we're not going to use multi-sig. This is just before our Parity launch, this contingency plan for this month, or for pretty much for the whole batch 1. We really, really want to launch our decentralized crowd loan before Nodle starts, so you don't have to deal with any issues with the multi-sig. And I hear you totally, and we're working on it. We'll work on it and launch as soon as possible. I guess, so far we can, we kind of provide liquidity and provide additional rewards, and hopefully that offsets the negative impact on the tax side. And just some data to show you. Right now, we have around 17.18 million DOT using our platform to contribute to over 10-12 projects in total. And we are roughly around 17-18% of total market shares, means that every 100 DOT contribution, 17 or 18 of them come to Parallel. So I guess, we'll work on it, and then also hope that liquidity and some additional rewards can help you offset the impact on the tax side.
Thanks for the response. Could you just expand on what the trustless solution would actually look like? So would that mean that if you contribute to the crowd loan, it would go directly into the crowd loan module?
So basically, it's an autonomous process. So the money went through our crowd loan pallets on our Parachain and directly go to the relay chain crowd loan pallets. So it's a automated connected transaction. So you request a crowd loan on our parent chain, and then we do this sort of exchange transfer from your relay chain account to our crowd loan account, and then it directly transfers back to the relay chain crowd loan pallet again. So that's the process. It all involves some transfer of the asset. However, the difference is that one is custodial, the other one is non-custodial. I'm being honest, I'm not an expert in the tech side, so I do not really know how much of a tax impact on for you on the transfer of multisig. Because maybe one more insight I can provide is that post parallel launch, we will transfer the ownership of the multisig to parallel crowd to parallel accounts, right? To parallel crowd loan accounts or parallel crowd pallets. And then you will actually be non-custodial again. We try to completely destroy the multisig, and then the only one in the world that have ability to manipulate the multisig will be the parachain accounts, and then so you will have direct access to your DOT. So that's right after we launch, even if you contribute now.
Thanks, that's awesome. Yeah. The only reason I was concerned is because I actually asked a tax advisor, and they didn't think it would be an issue, but they basically said that I'd have to get binding information from the tax office, and I don't know how long it would take for them to actually give that information. So I guess it's quite risky to do that if it was going to have significant tax implications.
If it's non-custodial, does it trigger any taxable events? I can't give financial advice, but basically I spoke to a tax advisor in my jurisdiction, and they basically said if you contribute directly to crowd loans, this is say in Germany, directly contributing to crowd loans isn't a taxable event. And so that, obviously if you earn income, then you actually have to, then that would be. But that's whereas if it was going through a multi-sig, and let's say, for example, you bought some dots that had gone up in value, and then you contributed to crowd loan, and let's say they considered that a taxable event, then it might not necessarily be. It might sort of make your accounting a bit more awkward. Yes. So, that was yeah. Yeah, because we don't actually hold your DOT. It's just basically as soon as you transfer to the multisig, we have an auction bot that just transfers to the relay chain again.
I guess the main reason I was concerned is the way that they would consider it. Would they say, you've transferred it to someone else who now owns those tokens, and because you've transferred it to another account? Whereas, the same tax advisors might say, if you transfer your tokens to a centralized exchange, which again that might be a custodial solution, then that's not considered a taxable event. So.
Well, maybe you can ask your tax advisor if the multisig ownership will be transferred back to the crowd loan pallet, which actually provides you the non-custodial option. Does it still consider as a taxable event? Because we are doing this step right after our parachain launch. Our first important step is to basically cancel the multisig and then transfer the ownership to the crowd loan account, and the crowd loan account give you the access to the dots that you contributed based on the amounts. So no one can control your money besides yourself. So, and then you will receive C-Dot as the crowd loan derivative. You can also transfer the C-Dot to someone else if you don't like it. So this is the process. It will be the process.
Very interesting. Okay. Let's see. Do one of you want to talk about, and we are about out of time, just to remind anybody, but one final question that has come up a couple of times about requiring a single DOT to be in your wallet after contributing. Yeah, can cause some serious confusion. So if one of you want to talk through that, I think that's a good question to end on. And if anybody else has any questions in the community, now would be the time to raise, to ask. We can take those, but then we will be complete.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy to do it. There is something called an existential deposit on Polkadot. It is very specific to Polkadot, by the way. It's not specific to Parallel nor Nodle. And Polkadot enforces a 1-dot existential deposit. It means that if your balance were to go under 1 dot at any time, the Polkadot chain would decide to destroy your account. So that's a big word, and that's very, very scary. What it actually does is that it's going just to prune some states in order to save on storage space and burn the balance of your account. Now, if you were to deposit more dots, or if you were to then claim some patch and rewards later, or claim some kind of Crowdloan dot refund, you would perfectly be able to do that. However, you would have lost, that sub 1 dot balance for sure. So that's why we kind of recommend everyone, I think that's the case for every Crowdloan, every platform, we recommend everyone to have at least more than 1 dot than what they will contribute. So that your balance never goes under 1 dot, and so that you're not surprised, basically. Meaning that if you want to contribute, let's say 100 dots, that's already like a good contribution, right? We would recommend, I think there's a good recommendation would be to have at least probably 102 dots. Why 2 dots? Because 1 dot for the existential deposit and 1 dot you have enough room to pay for the transaction fees, because you have to account for the transaction fees. If you have 101 dots, if you were to contribute 100 dots plus transaction fees, that would actually send you to a balance under 1 dot, and you will be burned.
That was an excellent explanation of that. If you are just doing this for the first time, just make sure that you leave at least 1 dot in that wallet, or else it could be scary, confusing, and frustrating. Okay, well, we don't have any other questions or requests for questions, so I just want to thank everyone who joined to listen, first and foremost. Yubo, Eliott, it was a pleasure hosting and having you guys answer these questions. It was a great discussion. Learned a lot about Nodle. For those of you that are new to Parallel, please make sure you follow Parallel on Twitter. It's ParallelFi. As always, Parallel is your best place to contribute to crowd loans for Polkadot. And if you're new to Nodle, definitely check out Nodle. Their Twitter is Nodle Network. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, Michael.